In the golden light of a Texas sunset, Jake Morgan counts the pennies in his ranch's account one more time. The numbers haven't changed. 3 months before he loses everything his father built. The weathered leather of his father's old armchair creaks as he leans back, running calloused hands through his dark hair. Outside his office window, the vast expanse of Morgan Ranch stretches toward the horizon, a legacy that's slipping through his fingers like the last grains in an hourglass. But fate has a funny way of turning the tables when you least expect it. As storm clouds gather over his failing ranch, he finds something that will change his life forever. A little girl in a mud-stained designer dress, clutching a teddy bear, worth more than his monthly earnings, lost and afraid in his wheat field. Her golden curls catch the fading sunlight as she looks up at him with tear-filled blue eyes, clutching that pristine teddy bear like a lifeline to a world far from these. Dusty plains. What Jake doesn't know is that 50 miles away in a penthouse suite, Charlotte Wells stares at her daughter's empty bed, surrounded by a team of private investigators. The billionaire heiress has learned the hard way that money can buy searches, but it can't buy genuine care. She's about to discover that sometimes true wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the size of someone's heart. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning sun crawls across the worn floorboards of the Morgan Ranch house as Jake reviews the books for the 100th time. Every column tells the same story. A legacy crumbling under the weight of modern times. He traces his finger down. The page, past feed costs that keep rising and cattle prices that keep falling, until he reaches the final balance that's been haunting his dreams, $247,320 in debt. 3 generations of Morgans had made this land thrive, but his father's final years had drained everything. Cancer doesn't care about farm schedules or harvest seasons. It had taken both his father and their savings, leaving Jake with a mountain of medical bills and a ranch hanging by a thread. "Boss?" Old Tom's voice carries through the screen door. The ranch hand has been with them since before Jake was born, his weathered face a map of 40 years working this land. "Peterson's on the phone about them cattle we were supposed to buy." Jake's stomach tightens. They need those cattle to maintain their breeding program. But the bank's latest letter sits heavy in his pocket, its message clear. No more loans. "Tell him we'll have to pass," Jake manages, the words tasting bitter in his mouth. Tom's face falls, but he nods, understanding written in the slump of his shoulders. Through the window, Jake watches Maria, their cook of 20 years, hanging laundry on the line. Her teenage son Miguel helps on weekends, learning the trade just like Jake did at his age. They're not just employees, they're family. The thought of losing the ranch means losing them too. The day unfolds like so many others, fixing fences, checking livestock, patching equipment that should have been replaced years ago. Ray, their youngest hand, works the old tractor with the patience of a saint, coaxing it through another day's labor. The machine's protests echo across the fields like a countdown to inevitable failure. As evening approaches, Jake rides out to the north pasture, his horse's hooves kicking up dust that glows orange in the setting sun. This was his father's favorite time of day. He can almost hear the old man's voice. "Land's got memory, son. Every acre here remembers every Morgan that worked it." The memory of their last conversation hits him hard. His father, thin and pale in the hospital bed, but his grip still strong as he clasped Jake's hand. "Promise me you'll keep it going. Boy, this land, it's more than just dirt and grass. It's our heart." Back at the house, Jake finds a letter from Western Savings and Loan. Inside, between lines of corporate courtesy, lies an ultimatum: 90 days to settle the outstanding. Debt or foreclosure proceedings will begin. The paper trembles in his hands as reality sinks in. He's about to become the Morgan who lost it all. That night, after the others have gone home, Jake sits on the porch his grandfather built. The crickets sing their eternal song as stars pepper the vast Texas sky. A shooting star streaks across the darkness, and for a moment he's 8 years old again, making wishes with his mother before she too left them for the stars. He doesn't make a wish tonight. Wishes won't save the ranch. But as the night wind carries the scent of sage and promises of rain, Jake Morgan makes a decision. He won't let this land go without a fight. Even if it means working himself to the bone, even if it means selling his own possessions, he'll find a way. Because this isn't just about keeping a promise to his father. It's about preserving a piece of the world where people still look each other in the eye, where a handshake means something, where family isn't defined by blood, but by the bonds, forged in shared struggles and triumphs. Tomorrow will bring its challenges, but tonight, under the endless Texas sky, Jake holds on to hope. Sometimes the darkest hour comes just before dawn, and maybe, just maybe, fate has something in store that even he couldn't predict. The wheat field ripples like a golden ocean in the afternoon breeze when Jake first hears it, a sound that doesn't belong among the rustle of crops and chirping crickets. A child's cry carried on the wind. He reins in his horse, listening. There it is again, stronger this time. Without hesitation, he guides his mount toward the sound, the wheat parting before them like waves. The sun beats down mercilessly as he searches, sweat trickling down his neck. Then he sees her. A little girl, no more than 6, stands in a small clearing where the wheat has been trampled down. Her designer dress, the kind Jake's only seen in magazine ads, is smeared with dirt and tears. Golden curls stick to her tear-stained cheeks, and in her arms she clutches a teddy bear that looks fresh from a luxury store shelf. "Hey there, sweetheart," Jake calls softly, dismounting slowly to avoid frightening her. "Are you lost?" The girl sniffles, taking a small step back. Her eyes, bright blue and filled with tears, study him warily. The teddy bear rises to cover half her face. "I'm Jake," he continues, crouching down to her level. "This is my ranch you're standing on. Would you like some water? It's awful hot out here." She nods almost imperceptibly, the bear lowering just slightly. Jake reaches for his canteen, moving deliberately, like he would around a spooked colt. "What's your name, darling?" "Emma," she whispers, voice hoarse from crying. She accepts the canteen with tiny, trembling hands. "That's a pretty name. And who's your friend there?" Jake gestures to the bear. "Mr. Sparkles," she says, a ghost of a smile flickering across her face. "Mommy gave him to me." "Well, it's nice to meet you both, Emma and Mr. Sparkles. Can you tell me how you got here?" Her face clouds over. "I was at the big store with Miss Patricia. She was talking on the phone. I saw a butterfly." Her voice trails off, lower lip quivering. Jake's mind races. The nearest shopping center is 15 miles away. How long has this child been wandering? "Miss Patricia," he prompts gently. "My nanny," Emma explains, and Jake notices for the first time the subtle signs of wealth in her appearance. The perfect cut of her hair, the tiny diamond studs in her ears, the designer label peeking out from her collar. "Do you know your mommy's phone number, Emma?" She shakes her head, fresh tears welling up. "Miss Patricia said I should know it, but I keep forgetting." "That's okay, sweetheart. We'll figure this out." Jake pulls out his phone, but the screen shows no signal, typical for this part of the ranch. "How about we head back to the house? Maria's probably baking cookies right about now." Emma's eyes light up at the mention of cookies, but uncertainty crosses her face. "Mommy says not to go with strangers." "Your mommy's right about that," Jake agrees. "How about this? We'll call the police from my house, and they can help us." "Find your mommy. Police are safe people to ask for help, right?" She nods slowly. "Miss Patricia taught me about police officers. Would you feel better if we pinky promise that I'll help you find your mommy?" Emma considers this solemnly, then extends her tiny pinky. Jake wraps his weathered finger around hers, sealing the deal. "Up you go," he says, lifting her carefully onto his horse. She settles in front of him, Mr. Sparkles secured firmly in her arms. As they ride back, Emma gradually relaxes, her initial fear giving way to curiosity. She asks about the horse. This is Thunder, the cattle in the distance. Those are our Texas Longhorns, and every bird that catches her eye, Maria's. Shock is evident when Jake walks into the kitchen with a lost child in designer clothes, but she recovers quickly. Within minutes, Emma is seated at the worn kitchen table with a glass of milk and fresh-baked cookies. Mr. Sparkles propped carefully in the chair beside her. The local police arrive shortly after Jake calls them. Officer Sarah Martinez, who Jake knows from community meetings, takes careful notes about where he found Emma and her appearance. "A nanny, you said?" Martinez confirms, glancing at Emma, who's now drawing pictures with crayons Maria found in a drawer. "This could be related to the bolo we got an hour ago. Let me make some calls." Jake watches Emma as Martinez steps outside. The little girl seems content now, humming softly as she colors. There's something about her that tugs at his heart. Perhaps it's the way she carefully shares her cookies with Mr. Sparkles, or how she thanked Maria with impeccable manners that speak of careful upbringing. "Mr. Jake," Emma's voice pulls him from his thoughts, "can I see more of your ranch tomorrow?" The question catches him off guard. "Well, sweetheart, hopefully we'll find your mommy before then." Her face falls slightly and she hugs Mr. Sparkles tighter. "But what if we don't?" Before Jake can respond, Officer Martinez returns, her expression serious. "We've got a situation. There's a massive search underway for this girl, but with night coming on and storms in the forecast, they're recommending she stays put until morning." "Mr. Morgan, I hate to impose, but given the circumstances—" "Of course she can stay," Jake says without hesitation. "Maria, can you—" "Already making up the guest room," Maria calls from upstairs. "And I'll stay the night too." As the evening settles in, Jake watches Emma helping Maria make the bed, chattering about her favorite stories and asking if they can make pancakes tomorrow. Something about her presence makes the old house feel different, lighter somehow, as if her innocent joy is pushing back the shadows of his worries. Later, after Emma's tucked in with Mr. Sparkles and Maria's settled in the next room, Jake sits at his father's desk again. The same bills and warnings stare up at him, but tonight they seem less overwhelming. Sometimes, he reflects, the most important things in life come from the most unexpected places. Outside, the promised storm begins to roll in, thunder growling in the distance. But inside, a lost little girl sleeps peacefully, unaware that her presence is about to change not just her life, but the lives of everyone around her. Charlotte Wells stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her penthouse suite, watching lightning split the Dallas skyline. Her daughter's empty bed reflects in the glass, a sight that turns her stomach every time she glances back. 36 hours. Emma has been missing for 36 hours. "Ms. Wells?" Harrison, her head of security, appears in the doorway. The police have expanded the search radius to include rural areas outside the city. Charlotte's manicured nails dig into her palms, and Patricia, still in custody, she maintains that she only turned away for a moment. Harrison's jaw tightens. The security footage confirms her story. Emma wandered off while Patricia was arguing with someone on her phone. The words ignite Charlotte's temper. "A moment is all it takes. I trusted her with my daughter's life." A crystal vase crashes to the floor, but Charlotte barely notices. She was too busy planning her weekend to watch a 6-year-old child. The room falls silent, except for Charlotte's ragged breathing. Around her, a dozen private investigators and security personnel exchange glances, their tablets and phones creating a soft blue glow in the dimmed room. Money can buy the best search team in Texas, but it can't buy time. "What about the ransom demands?" she asks, forcing her voice steady. Harrison shakes his head. "All false leads so far. These opportunists crawl out whenever a wealthy family—" "Don't," Charlotte cuts him off. "Don't remind me how many people see my daughter as a payday." She turns back to the window, remembering another night like this, 5 years ago. Emma's father had seen them as a payday too. His prenup challenge revealing his true colors mere months after Emma's birth. A young assistant hurries in, tablet in hand. "Ms. Wells, there's a police report from a rural precinct. A child matching." Emma's description. Charlotte spins around. "Where?" "Morgan Ranch, about 50 miles outside the city." The local officer reports. But Charlotte is already moving. "Get the helicopter ready, now." "Ma'am," Harrison steps forward. "The storm." "Then get me a car, any car. Just get me there." As her team scrambles to comply, Charlotte grabs Emma's favorite blanket from her bed, holding it close. The familiar scent of her daughter's shampoo brings tears to her eyes. The drive feels endless. Charlotte watches rain lash against the SUV's windows, each lightning flash illuminating vast stretches of empty land. How did her baby end up out here? The thought of Emma alone in this wilderness makes her chest tight. Her phone buzzes constantly. Board members asking about tomorrow's merger meeting. Her mother insisting this wouldn't have happened if Emma was in private school. Reporters seeking statements. Charlotte ignores them all. For the first time in years, the empire she's built seems meaningless. "You'll want to see this, Ms. Wells." Harrison passes back his tablet. On the screen, security footage shows Emma following. A butterfly, her nanny distracted by what appears to be a heated phone call. Frame by frame, her daughter disappears into the crowd. "Play it again," Charlotte whispers, torturing herself with each viewing. She should have been there, but the board meeting had run long, as they always did. Another sacrifice on the altar of success. The rain eases as they turn onto a dirt road, the SUV's headlights catching a worn wooden sign, "Morgan Ranch." Charlotte's heart pounds. Somewhere ahead, maybe her daughter is sleeping safely, unaware of the terror she's lived through these past 2 days. Background check on the owner came through, Harrison reports. Jake Morgan, 34. Inherited the ranch 3 years ago when his father died. Place is nearly bankrupt, but his record's clean, no criminal history. Charlotte barely hears him. Her eyes are fixed on the approaching farmhouse, its windows warm with light against the stormy night. A flash of movement draws her attention. No! A man stepping onto the porch, broad-shouldered and watchful. The SUV stops, and Charlotte doesn't wait for Harrison to open her door. Her Louboutins sink into the mud as she strides forward, designer dress wholly out of place in this rustic setting. But for once in her life, appearances are the last thing on her mind. The man, Jake Morgan, she presumes, descends the porch. Steps. Up close she sees the kindness in his eyes, the quiet strength in his bearing. He looks nothing like the opportunists who usually circle her world. "Ms. Wells," he says simply, and something in his voice, respect without deference, concern without manipulation, makes her pause. "Emma's sleeping, she's safe. Would you like to see her?" Charlotte nods, not trusting her voice. As Jake leads her inside, she notices the worn but well-maintained interior, family photos spanning generations, the smell of fresh-baked cookies lingering in the air. This isn't just a house, she realizes. It's a home. And somewhere upstairs, her daughter sleeps, found and protected by a stranger who had no idea he was sheltering a billionaire's child. A man who, by all accounts, needs money desperately, but hasn't asked for a thing. For the first time since Emma went missing, Charlotte feels something shift inside her, a crack in the walls she's built around her heart, letting in something that feels dangerously like hope. Dawn breaks over Morgan Ranch, with the sound of roosters crowing and cattle lowing in the distance. Emma stands on the porch in her borrowed oversized t-shirt, her small hand tucked trustingly in Jake's, as they watch the sunrise paint the sky, in brilliant oranges and pinks. "The sun looks different here," she observes thoughtfully, Mr. Sparkles dangling from her other hand. "It's bigger than at home." Charlotte, watching from the doorway, feels her heart twist. She'd arrived late, last night, but Emma had been so deeply asleep, clutching her bear, that she couldn't bear to wake her. Now, seeing her daughter so at peace in this unfamiliar place, she holds back, unwilling to break the spell. "That's because there aren't any tall buildings in the way," Jake explains, crouching down to Emma's level. "Out here, we get to see the whole thing." "Can we show Mommy the baby calves?" Emma asks, finally spotting Charlotte. She runs to her mother, wrapping her arms around her legs. Mr. Jake says they were born yesterday. Charlotte lifts her daughter, holding her close, breathing in her familiar scent, now mixed with fresh hay and morning air. Baby calves, she asks, raising an eyebrow at Jake. 3 of them, he confirms, a gentle smile crossing his weathered features. Best part of ranch life, if you ask me. Maria appears with a tray of breakfast. Fresh eggs, still warm bread, and what looks like homemade jam. Breakfast first, adventures later, she declares, giving Emma's hair an affectionate pat. The morning unfolds in a way Charlotte has never experienced. Emma drags her from one discovery to another, meeting the calves, collecting eggs from the hen house, helping Maria feed the barn cats. Jake guides them with patience, explaining each aspect of ranch life in terms Emma can understand. She's a natural, old Tom comments, watching Emma fearlessly stroke a calf's nose. Got good instincts around the animals? Charlotte notices how everyone on the ranch has seamlessly included Emma in their routines. Ray shows her how to work the old water pump, delighting in her amazement when water gushes out. Miguel teaches her the names of all the barn cats in Spanish, which she repeats with determined concentration. But it's Jake who surprises Charlotte most. He handles Emma with a mix of gentleness and respect that she's rarely seen, answering her endless questions with genuine interest, ensuring her safety without stifling her enthusiasm. Your daughter's something special, Jake says quietly, joining Charlotte as they watch Emma help Maria scatter feed for the chickens. She's got a real connection with the land, Charlotte nods, struggling with emotions she can't quite name. She seems different here, freer somehow. Kids often are on a ranch, something about the open space and honest work. He pauses, watching Emma laugh as chickens cluster around her. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, both of you. The offer catches Charlotte off guard. In her world, every kindness comes with a price tag, every invitation with an agenda. But Jake's eyes hold nothing but sincerity, and she finds herself nodding before she can think better of it. Just for a few days, she says, while I sort out some things back in Dallas. Emma's delighted squeal at the news makes any doubts fade away. As Charlotte watches her daughter run off to help Miguel with his chores, she realizes that perhaps they both need this. This pause, this glimpse of a simpler life where worth isn't measured in dollars and cents, but in sunrises, baby calves, and genuine smiles. By evening, Emma has dirt under her fingernails, hay in her hair, and a contentment Charlotte hasn't seen in months. She falls asleep at the dinner table, Mr. Sparkles clutched close, and Jake carries her up to bed with a natural ease that makes Charlotte's heart skip a beat. Later, sitting on the porch with mugs of coffee, Charlotte and Jake watch the stars emerge in the vast Texas sky. Neither speaks, but in the comfortable silence something shifts. A recognition, perhaps, that sometimes the safest havens are found in the most unexpected places. Charlotte sits in Jake's office, laptop open to an endless stream of urgent emails, but her attention keeps drifting to the window where she can see Emma helping Jake feed the horses. Her daughter's laughter carries across the morning air, a sound that's become increasingly rare in their Dallas penthouse. Harrison's daily security report sits minimized on her screen, detailing the media circus her absence has created. The headlines flash through her mind. Wells heiress goes off-grid, tech billionaire abandons merger talks. Charlotte Wells, breaking point or strategic move. Her phone buzzes again. Her mother, for the 3rd time today. Charlotte lets it go to voicemail, already knowing the message it will contain. Disappointment, criticism, reminders of her responsibilities to the Wells legacy. Ms. Wells. Her assistant's voice comes through the laptop speaker. The board is requesting an emergency meeting. They're concerned about the Morrison merger. Push it back, Charlotte interrupts, watching Emma demonstrate to Jake how Mr. Sparkles likes his ears scratched. Family emergency. But Ms. Wells, the shareholders... I said push it back. Her tone leaves no room for argument. She closes the laptop, silencing the demands of her other life. Rising from the desk, Charlotte catches her reflection in the window. Designer clothes and perfect makeup look absurdly out of place here, yet Emma, in borrowed overalls and muddy boots, has never seemed more in her element. The memory of Emma's father surfaces unbidden. James had seemed so perfect, charming, successful, understanding of her position as heir to the Wells fortune. Until the pregnancy, until he showed his true colors, demanding more money, threatening to take Emma if she didn't pay. The legal battle had been ugly, but private investigators had uncovered his pattern of targeting wealthy women. In the end, her money had bought silence and full custody, but the price had been her trust. A knock at the door pulls her from these thoughts. Maria enters with coffee and what looks suspiciously like freshly baked coffee cake. "You haven't eaten," the housekeeper states matter-of-factly, setting down the tray. "Jake mentioned you've been working since dawn." Charlotte starts to protest, but Maria's stern look stops her. It's been years since anyone dared to mother her this way, since anyone cared enough to try. "Thank you," she says instead, accepting the cake. "For everything, for watching over Emma yesterday." Maria's expression softens. "That child is a blessing, reminds me of Jake at that age, always curious, always kind." She pauses, looking out at Jake and Emma. "He's good with her." "He is," Charlotte agrees quietly. "Life hasn't been easy for him since his father passed. The ranch," Maria hesitates. "Well, it's not my place to say." But Charlotte has already seen the signs, the outdated equipment, the repairs needed on the buildings, the careful way Jake manages their resources. Her business mind automatically calculates the ranch's value, its potential if properly invested in. Yet something stops her from thinking further. Here, for the first time in years, she and Emma have found people who see them, not their bank account. The sound of hooves draws her attention. Jake is leading a gentle mare, Emma secured in front of him in the saddle. Her daughter's face shines with joy as they do a slow circuit of the corral. "He's nothing like James," she murmurs, almost to herself. Maria's knowing look makes her flush. "No, Mejia, he's not. Jake Morgan has never wanted anything but this land, and the chance to keep his father's dream alive." The words hit Charlotte harder than expected. In her world, everyone wants something. Every kindness has a price tag. Every relationship is a transaction. But watching Jake patiently teach Emma the basics of horsemanship, she sees something she's forgotten existed. Genuine care without agenda, kindness without calculation. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's her board chairman. The message terse. "The Morrison deal won't wait forever. Time to return to reality." Reality. As if this ranch, with its honest work and genuine connections, is somehow less real than the corporate games she plays in Dallas. Charlotte sets the phone aside, unanswered. For now, at least, she'll let herself believe in this different kind of reality. One where her daughter's laughter is more important than merger talks, where coffee cake comes with motherly concern, and where a rancher, with integrity and gentle hands, makes her wonder if not all men are like James after all. Jake's morning routine has shifted since Emma's arrival. Instead of starting before dawn, with the weight of the ranch's troubles heavy on his shoulders, he now begins each day by checking on his small guest. This morning, he finds her already, awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed with Mr. Sparkles, watching the sunrise through her window. "The cows are waking up," she informs him seriously, pointing to the distant pasture where the cattle are starting to move. "Can I help feed them today?" "Sure can, Princess," he says, the nickname falling naturally from his lips. "But first, how about some breakfast?" Maria's making her special pancakes. Emma's face lights up but then turns thoughtful. "Can we make extra for Mommy? She always has meetings during breakfast at home." The innocent observation tugs at Jake's heart. He's noticed how Charlotte tries to balance her constant phone calls with spending time with Emma, the tension visible in her shoulders as she juggles both worlds. In the kitchen, Emma perches on a stool, helping Maria mix pancake batter. Jake watches as she carefully adds blueberries, her small tongue sticking out in concentration. The sight makes the pile of overdue bills in his office seem less overwhelming somehow. "Mr. Jake," Emma's voice pulls him from his thoughts. "Why does thunder like sugar cubes but not regular sugar?" "Well, that's an interesting question." He begins, launching into a simple explanation about horses that has Emma hanging on every word. He's discovered that she's endlessly curious about ranch life, soaking up knowledge like a tiny sponge. Charlotte appears in the doorway, already dressed for business, but pausing at the domestic scene before her. Emma proudly presents her with a slightly lopsided pancake, and something in Charlotte's professional demeanor softens. "Look what I made, Mummy. Mr. Jake says I'm a natural chef." "It's perfect, sweetheart," Charlotte says, settling at the table. For once, her phone remains untouched in her pocket. After breakfast, Jake takes Emma on his morning rounds. She's learned the routine now, checking fences, counting cattle, examining the crops. Her questions are getting more specific, showing real understanding of ranch operations. "Why is this part of the fence different?" she asks, pointing to a newer section. "Storm damaged it last month," Jake explains. "Had to fix it quick before any cattle got out." "Did it cost a lot?" "Mommy says everything costs money." Jake hesitates, surprised by her perception. "Sometimes things cost more than we'd like, but keeping the animals safe is worth it." Emma nods sagely. "Maybe Mommy could help. She has lots of money for fixing things." "That's kind of you to think of, Princess," Jake says gently. "But your Mommy's money is for taking care of you. The ranch is my responsibility." They continue their rounds, Emma chattering about everything she sees. When they reach the wheat field where he found her, she grows quiet. "I was scared that day," she admits softly. "But you made it better. You're good at making things better, Mr. Jake." The simple trust in her voice touches something deep in his heart. Despite the ranch's struggles, despite his fears of losing everything, he somehow managed to be a safe harbor for this child. Back at the house, he finds a notice from the bank in the mail, another reminder of the looming deadline. But before the familiar anxiety can take hold, Emma's hand slips into his. "Can you teach me more about the horses?" she asks. "I want to learn everything." Looking down at her eager face, Jake realizes that sometimes the most valuable things in life can't be measured in dollars and cents. The ranch may be struggling, but it's still capable of bringing joy to a little girl's heart, of teaching her about life and nature and simple truths. That evening, as Emma helps him with simple stable chores, her delight in each small task reminds him why he's fighting so hard to keep this place. It's not just about preserving his family's legacy anymore. It's about maintaining a way of life that can still teach children about responsibility, kindness, and the reward of honest work. As the sun sets, Emma leans against him, tired but happy. "I wish we could stay here forever," she murmurs, half asleep. Jake carries her inside, his heart heavy with the knowledge that this can't last. Tomorrow will bring more bills, more pressure, more reality. But for now, he focuses on the weight of this trusting child in his arms and the simple blessing of being able to make her world a little better, even if just for a while. Harrison's black SUV kicks up dust as it rolls down the ranch's driveway, bringing with it the first ripples of disruption to their peaceful sanctuary. Charlotte watches from the porch as her head of security steps out, tablet in hand, his crisp suit a stark contrast to the rural setting. "Ms. Wells," he calls, climbing the porch steps, "we need to discuss security arrangements. The media's caught wind of your location." Inside, Emma's laughter mingles with the sound of Maria teaching her to make tortillas. Charlotte feels her shoulders tense, the familiar weight of her public life settling back into place. "How bad is it?" she asks, leading Harrison to Jake's office. Local news vans are already setting up near the property line. Social media's buzzing with rumors about you and the ranch owner. He pauses, clearing his throat. "There's also the matter of Mr. Morgan's financial situation. Charlotte's head snaps up. You've been investigating him? It's my job, Mom. The ranch is 3 months from foreclosure. The timing... Stop! Charlotte's voice could freeze hell. Jake Morgan is not using my daughter for financial gain. Nevertheless, the optics... A commotion outside interrupts them. Through the window, Charlotte sees a news helicopter circling low over the ranch, spooking the horses in the corral. Jake rushes to calm them, his movements sure and steady despite the chaos. Emma runs onto the porch, Mr. Sparkles clutched tight. Mommy! Why is there a helicopter? Before Charlotte can answer, Jake appears, his expression grim. Got reporters trying to sneak in through the back pasture. Old Tom's holding them off, but Harrison's phone buzzes. TMZ just posted pictures. They're running with Billionaire's daughter found by handsome cowboy as their headline. Charlotte feels her carefully constructed world colliding with this peaceful haven they've found. She watches Jake crouch down to Emma's level, explaining the helicopter in a way that turns her fear into curiosity. He's so natural with her, so genuine. The thought of the media twisting this into something tawdry makes her sick. We should move you to a secure location, Harrison suggests. The Four Seasons has a private entrance. No. The word comes out sharper than intended. Emma's happy here. We're not running. Jake straightens up, his eyes meeting Charlotte's. Whatever you need, he says simply. The ranch can handle a few reporters. But it's more than just reporters. By afternoon, social media is ablaze with speculation. Charlotte's phone floods with messages from board members concerned about the company's image. From her mother warning about scandal, from Emma's father's lawyers sensing an opportunity. Jake finds her in the garden, where she's retreated to. Read the latest batch of emails. Emma's worried about you, he says, settling beside her on the old wooden bench. Says you've got your business face on. Despite everything, Charlotte feels a smile tugging at her lips. My business face? Her words, not mine. He pauses, looking out over his land. Listen, I know this is complicated. If you need to leave... Do you want us to? No. The answer comes quickly, firmly. But I don't want to make things harder for you either. Charlotte studies him. This man who has shown nothing but kindness, who asks for nothing in return, who is about to lose everything he loves and still puts others first. They're digging into your financial situation, she warns. The media. They'll try to paint you as a fortune hunter. His laugh holds no bitterness. Let them. Anyone who matters knows the truth. A shout from the house draws their attention. Emma stands on the porch with Maria, both covered in flour, proudly, holding up what appears to be a very misshapen tortilla. Look what I made, she calls. Can we have a ranch dinner, please? Jake's smile is worth more than all the media speculation in the world. A ranch dinner it is, Princess. As they walk back to the house, Charlotte makes a decision. She pulls out her phone and calls her PR team. Listen carefully, she says. Here's how we're going to handle this. That evening, as they sit down to Emma's proudly presented tortillas, Charlotte catches glimpses of camera flashes from the property. Line. But for once, she doesn't feel the need to control the narrative. Let them see this, a little girl finding joy in simple things, a hard-working man teaching her about life's real values. A family dinner that means more than any corporate merger. The truth, she realizes, watching Jake patiently show Emma how to properly fold her tortilla is better than any story they could spin. Sometimes the most precious things in life come without price tags or hidden agendas. Sometimes they come in the form of flower-covered smiles and gentle hands that ask for nothing but offer everything. The morning newspaper lies on Jake's kitchen table like a loaded gun. The front-page photo shows him teaching Emma to ride, Charlotte watching from the fence. Wells heiress finds more than shelter at struggling ranch, screams the headline. Charlotte enters the kitchen just as he's about to hide it, Emma trailing behind her with Mr. Sparkles. One look at the headline, and her face hardens into what Emma calls her business face. Emma. Honey, Charlotte says carefully, why don't you help Maria with the chickens? Once Emma's out of earshot, Charlotte picks up the paper. "Jake, I'm so sorry about this." "Not your fault," he says, but his voice is tight. The article details his financial troubles, speculating about his motives for helping Emma. Some anonymous source quotes him as being desperate for any solution to save his failing ranch. "They're vultures," Charlotte spits out, scanning the article. "I'll have my lawyers—" "No." Jake's voice is firm. "No lawyers, no PR teams, no corporate solutions." He looks out the window where Emma is scattering feed, giggling as chickens cluster around her. "This place, it's always been simple, honest. I'd like to keep it that way." Charlotte studies him, really looks at him. His hands are calloused from real work, his face weathered by sun and worry. He's nothing like the polished executives who populate her world, and something in her chest tightens at the thought. "The ranch," she starts hesitantly. "How bad is it, really?" Jake meets her eyes, and for the first time, she sees the full weight of his burden. "Bad enough, bank's given me till the end of the month. After that," he shrugs, the gesture containing worlds of pain. Before Charlotte can respond, Emma bursts back in. "Mr. Jake, one of the mama hens has babies, tiny yellow ones. Can I show Mommy?" Jake's entire demeanor transforms, worry lines smoothing into a gentle smile. "Course you can, princess. But remember what we talked about with baby animals? Quiet and gentle," Emma recites proudly, "like when the new calves were born." She takes both their hands, pulling them toward the chicken coop, and Charlotte feels the rightness of it. Her daughter between them, small fingers linking their worlds. Together, the morning unfolds in a series of small moments. Emma's delight at the chicks, Jake's patient explanations of farm life, Charlotte finding herself drawn into their easy companionship. She kicks off her designer shoes to help in the garden, laughing, as Emma teaches her the names of all the barn cats in Spanish. But reality intrudes again at lunchtime. Harrison arrives with urgent news about the Morrison merger, and Charlotte retreats to Jake's office for a video conference. Through the window, she watches Jake and Emma working with one of the gentler horses, their heads bent together in serious discussion. "Ms. Wells," the sharp voice of her board chairman pulls her back. "Are you listening? This merger is crucial for the company's third-quarter projections." "I'm listening," she says, but her mind is on the simple joy in her daughter's face, the peace she's found in this unexpected place. Later, after Emma's gone to bed, Charlotte finds Jake on the porch, staring at the stars. She settles beside him, close enough to feel his warmth. "You're good with her," she says softly, "better than any of the nannies, the tutors, all the experts I've hired. Emma makes it easy. She's got a good heart, like her mother." The compliment catches her off guard. In her world, flattery is a currency, but Jake's words hold nothing but simple truth. "I've been thinking," she starts, then hesitates. In the distance, a coyote calls, its cry echoing across the empty plains. "The ranch. I could help. Not as a handout, but as an investment. A partnership." Jake tenses beside her. "Charlotte, just listen. This place, what you do here, it's real, important. Emma's learned more about life in a week here than in a year of private schools." She turns to face him. "Let me help, not because I feel obligated, but because I believe in what you're building here." Their eyes meet in the starlight, and something electric passes between them. Jake reaches out slowly and brushes a strand of hair from her face. His touch is calloused but gentle, like everything about him. "And what about after?" he asks quietly. "When the ranch is saved, and you go back to your world of mergers and boardrooms, what happens to Emma then? He stops, but the unspoken word hangs between them. Before Charlotte can answer, a small voice calls from the doorway. "Mommy? Mr. Jake, I had a bad dream." They turn to find Emma clutching Mr. Sparkles, her eyes wide in the darkness. Without hesitation, they both move to comfort her, their personal moment suspended, but not forgotten. As Jake scoops Emma up, telling her a story about brave ranch horses that chase bad dreams away, Charlotte watches them. Two worlds, colliding in ways she never expected. The question isn't just about saving a ranch anymore. It's about saving this fragile, precious thing growing between them all. But as Emma drifts back to sleep between them on the porch swing, Charlotte realizes that some questions don't need immediate answers. Sometimes, in the quiet moments between heartbeats, between worlds, the answer is simply being present in the moment, holding on to what matters most. The manila envelope arrives with the morning mail, looking innocent enough among the bills and circulars. Jake opens it at his desk, Emma sitting cross-legged on the floor nearby, drawing pictures of horses with her new crayons. His heart stops as he reads the letterhead, Western Savings and Loan, but it's the contents that make his blood run cold. The bank isn't just foreclosing. They're in talks to sell the entire valley, including Morgan Ranch, to Wells Enterprises for a massive development project. Mr. Jake, Emma's voice seems to come from far away. Are you okay? Your face looks funny. He forces a smile. Just grown-up stuff, princess. Hey, why don't you go see if Maria needs help with lunch? Once Emma's gone, Jake spreads out the documents. Satellite photos, development plans, projected profits, all dated months before Emma wandered into his wheat field. His hands shake as he finds Charlotte's signature on preliminary agreements. Outside his window, he can see Charlotte on the phone, pacing the garden as she handles another business call. She's wearing jeans now, boots caked with mud, looking for all the world like she belongs here. Was it all an act, a way to smooth over the acquisition? The bank called. Old Tom's voice makes him jump. The ranch hand stands in the doorway, his weathered face grave. Said some fancy lawyers want to schedule a meeting, something about expediting the sale. Jake nods slowly, pieces falling into place. The timing of Emma's appearance, Charlotte's offer to help with the ranch, the media attention drawing investors' eyes to the valley. Get everyone together, he says quietly. They should hear it from me first. The kitchen gathering is somber. Maria cries silently as Jake explains. While Ray and Miguel exchange dark looks, only old Tom speaks. Could be a mistake, he offers. Miss Charlotte, she seems genuine with the little one. I am genuine. Charlotte's voice makes them all turn. She stands in the doorway, face pale. I had no idea the bank was talking to my company. I've been on leave dealing with... She gestures helplessly. I would never... Your signature's on the papers, Jake says flatly, dated 3 months ago. What papers? He hands her the documents, watches her face change as she reads, horror dawning in her eyes. This was preliminary research, she whispers. My team evaluates hundreds of potential sites. I didn't know it was your ranch, but now you do. Jake's voice is quiet, controlled. And your board wants this development. It's worth millions. Jake, please. Mommy. Emma appears behind Charlotte, clutching Mr. Sparkles. Why is everyone sad? The silence is deafening. Charlotte reaches for her daughter, but Emma runs to Jake instead, wrapping her arms around his legs. The gesture breaks something in him. Nobody's sad, princess, he manages. We're just having a grown-up discussion. About the ranch? Emma looks up at him with trusting eyes. Mommy can help. She fixes everything at her work. She told me so. Charlotte makes a small, wounded sound. Emma, honey, it's complicated. It's not complicated at all. Jake gently disentangles himself from Emma. Your mommy's company is buying the ranch. They're going to build new things here. Emma's face crumples. But what about the horses? And the baby chicks? And our special breakfast spot? Emma, Charlotte steps forward. We should pack our things. No! Emma backs away. I want to stay with Mr. Jake. He promised to teach me to ride thunder by myself. Emma, please! But Emma runs from the room, her sobs echoing through the house. Maria hurries after her, shooting Charlotte a disappointed look. The kitchen empties, leaving Jake and Charlotte alone. Through the window they can see reporters still camped at the property line, waiting for their story. I'll stop it, Charlotte says. I'll call the board, cancel the development. Don't. Jake's voice is tired. Don't make promises you can't keep. This is business, right? Just business. That's not fair. What happened here with Emma, with us, was real? He meets her eyes. Was it? Or was it just convenient timing? Before she can answer, Harrison appears. Ms. Wells, the board is demanding an emergency meeting. They've seen the media coverage, and with the Morrison merger hanging by a thread, Charlotte looks torn, caught between two worlds. Jake turns away, unable to watch. Go, he says quietly. Your other life is calling. He waits until he hears her footsteps fade, then sinks into his father's old chair. Outside, the ranch continues its daily rhythm. Cattle lowing, horses nickering, wind rustling through wheat ready for harvest. Soon it will all be gone, transformed into whatever sleek development Wells Enterprises has planned. Emma's drawing still lies on his desk, 3 figures standing in front of a ranch house, holding hands. A family she'd created in her imagination, now crumbling like the very real ranch around them. Somewhere in the house, he can hear Emma crying, Maria's soft voice trying to comfort her. The sound echoes in his chest, matching the hollow rhythm of his heart. Charlotte sits in the back seat of her SUV, Emma's tear-stained face pressed against her shoulder, as Harrison drives them back to their Dallas penthouse. The stark contrast between the ranch's peaceful morning and this abrupt departure makes her chest ache. Can we go back tomorrow? Emma whispers, clutching Mr. Sparkles. I didn't say goodbye to the baby chicks. Charlotte strokes her daughter's hair, remembering Jake's face when he found those documents. Not tomorrow, sweetheart. But Mr. Jake needs us. He said I'm his best helper with the horses. The simple trust in her daughter's voice makes Charlotte's eyes burn. In the front seat, Harrison clears his throat. Ms. Wells, the board is waiting. They've drafted a press release about the development project. Emma sits up. What's a development project? Charlotte feels sick. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that her mother's company plans to bulldoze her paradise? Back at the ranch, Jake stands in Emma's room, staring at the small signs of her presence, a half-finished drawing on the desk, her borrowed boots by the door, a hair ribbon forgotten on the windowsill. Maria appears behind him, her eyes red-rimmed. The reporters are asking for statements, she says softly. Tom told them to leave, but they're persistent. Jake picks up the drawing, Emma's rendition of their morning routine, feeding animals together. Tell them no comment. Jake. Maria hesitates. That woman, the way she looked at you, at Emma, that wasn't pretend. Doesn't matter now, does it? He sets the drawing down carefully. We've got work to do. Ranch won't run itself, even if it's not ours for much longer. In her Dallas office, Charlotte faces her board on a massive video screen. They're discussing profit projections, environmental impact studies, potential tax benefits. All she can see is Emma's face when they drove away. The timing is perfect, her CFO is saying. With the media attention on the ranch, property values in the area are spiking. We can flip the development plots for triple our initial investment. And the current residents? Charlotte finds herself asking. The workers, their families? Standard relocation packages, of course. Very generous ones, given the publicity. Charlotte thinks of old Tom, who's worked that land for 40 years. Of Maria's garden, where she taught Emma about herbs. Of Jake, whose entire world is measured in acres and memories. I need time, she says suddenly, before we move forward. Charlotte, her board chairman warns, the Morrison merger depends on proving we can develop rural properties sustainably. This project is key to their confidence in our expansion plans. I said, I need time. Back at the ranch, Jake works until sunset, losing himself in physical labor. But every corner holds memories now. Emma naming the new calves, Charlotte laughing as she learned to gather eggs, their quiet conversations on the porch under starlit skies. He finds himself at the spot where he first found Emma, the wheat still slightly flattened where she'd sat crying. His phone buzzes. Another call from the bank, eager to finalize the sale. In her penthouse, Charlotte watches Emma push food around her plate, Mr. Sparkles propped in an empty chair beside her. Honey, you need to eat. I'm not hungry. Emma's voice is small. Mr. Jake always makes my eggs shaped like hearts. Charlotte's phone lights up with another board message. She ignores it, moving to kneel beside her daughter's chair. Emma, look at me. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Big ones. And sometimes fixing them is complicated. Like when I spilled paint on Maria's floor and had to clean it up. Something like that. Charlotte touches the teddy bear's worn ear. But bigger. Emma considers this. Is that why Mr. Jake looked so sad? Because of your mistake? Out of the mouths of babes. Charlotte fights back tears. Yes, baby. That's exactly why. Night falls over both worlds, the ranch house standing quiet under Texas stars, the penthouse glowing high above the city lights. In both places, 3 hearts ache with the weight of what's been lost and what might never be found again. The final notice from Western Savings and Loan sits unopened on Jake's desk as dawn breaks over the ranch. He's been up all night, reviewing options that don't exist, making calls that lead nowhere. The bank's message yesterday was clear. Wells Enterprises is ready to close the deal immediately. A quiet knock interrupts his thoughts. Old Tom enters, his face grave. Just got word from Peterson's ranch. They're selling too. Whole Valley's going to be part of this development. Jake stands, moving to the window. The morning light paints the wheat fields gold, just like the day he found Emma. How many families? 4 ranches, dozens smaller farms, most been here generations. Tom's voice roughens. They're calling it progress. In Dallas, Charlotte faces her own crisis. Emma hasn't spoken since yesterday, hasn't touched her breakfast, just sits clutching Mr. Sparkles and staring out the penthouse windows toward the distant countryside. Ms. Wells, her assistant, appears with yet another urgent message. The Morrison representatives want to see the ranch development plans today. They're saying it's make or break for the merger. Charlotte watches her daughter's reflection in the window. Tell them I'm unavailable. But Mom, the board chairman specifically, I said no. Charlotte's voice cracks like a whip. For the first time in days, Emma turns to look at her. Back at the ranch, Jake gathers his workers in the kitchen. Maria sets out coffee, her movements mechanical, eyes red from another sleepless night. I won't lie to you, Jake begins. We're out of options. The bank's given us till Friday. He forces himself to meet each pair of eyes. I'll write recommendations for all of you. Your work here has been... Stop. Maria's voice is firm. We're not here for recommendations, Jake Morgan. This ranch isn't just your home. Old Tom nods. My daddy worked this land with your granddaddy. Ain't about to walk away now, but I can't. And pay you, Jake protests. After Friday, we ain't here for money, Ray speaks up, Miguel nodding beside him. We're here because this place matters, because what we do matters. In her office, Charlotte stares at the development plans spread across her desk. Clean lines and modern architecture that would erase generations of history. Her phone buzzes again, her mother this time. Darling, you're being ridiculous. Her mother's voice drips concern. This is business. That rancher clearly manipulated the situation. Charlotte thinks of Jake teaching Emma to groom horses, his patience, his gentle hands, his absolute integrity. You don't know him. I know his type. The bank says he's desperate. He saw an opportunity with Emma and... Stop! Charlotte's voice shakes. You don't understand what we found there. What you found was a distraction. The board's threatening to remove you if you don't approve this deal. Think of your daughter's future. Charlotte looks at Emma, still silent by the window. I am thinking of her future, of what really matters. At the ranch, Jake saddles Thunder, needing to escape the sympathetic eyes of his workers. He rides to the wheat field, their wheat field, where a lost little girl changed everything. His phone rings, Charlotte's number. He lets it go to voicemail, like the dozen calls before it. What could she possibly say now? But this time, she leaves a message. Jake, please. I know you have no reason to trust me, but Emma, she's not eating, not talking. I need a pause, a shaky breath. We need to make this right. He closes his eyes, remembering Emma's laughter, Charlotte's smile in the morning light. the way they fit so perfectly into his world. But that world is ending, sold out from under him by the very woman who made him dare to dream of more. In Dallas, Charlotte reaches her breaking point. She gathers the development plans, the merger documents, everything that represents the corporate machine she's built her life around. "Emma," she calls softly, "put on your boots." Her daughter looks up, confusion crossing her tear-stained face. "Boots?" "Yes." Charlotte's voice strengthens. "We're going home." The Wells Enterprises boardroom falls silent as Charlotte strides in, Emma's small hand clasped firmly in hers. 12 pairs of eyes follow them as they make their way to the head of the long mahogany table. Mr. Sparkles dangles from Emma's other hand, incongruous against the corporate sterility. "Charlotte," the board chairman, Richard Walsh, breaks the silence. "This is highly irregular. We agreed to meet about the Morrison merger, not... This is about the merger." Charlotte's voice is steel wrapped in silk. "And about Morgan Ranch." "Emma." Perks up at the name, looking around the room with sudden interest. Charlotte squeezes her hand gently before continuing. "The development project you're all so eager to push through. Let me show you what you're really destroying." She pulls out her phone, bringing up photos from their time at the ranch. "This is old Tom. He's worked that land for 40 years, taught 3 generations of ranchers. This is Maria, who keeps the whole place running and makes the best tortillas. In Texas..." "Charlotte," Walsh interrupts, "this is business, not a family photo album." "You're right. It is business." She pulls out the development plans. "These pristine designs you're so proud of, they'll destroy 5 family farms, 3 historic ranches, and a way of life that's been sustaining this community for generations. Progress requires change," a board member interjects. "The profit projections..." "Mommy," Emma's voice cuts through the corporate jargon. "Are they the ones who want to hurt Mr. Jake's horses?" The boardroom temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Charlotte lifts her chin. "Yes, sweetheart. But we're not going to let them." "Ms. Wells," Walsh's voice holds a warning. "Think carefully about your next words. The Morrison merger. Can find another development project. One that doesn't involve destroying people's homes." Charlotte pulls out a thick folder. "I've spent all night working on alternatives. 3 other potential sites, all pre-approved for development, all with better access to existing infrastructure." The board members exchange glances as she lays out her plans. Emma tugs at her hand again. "Can we go back to the ranch now?" "I promised." "Thunder a carrot." Charlotte looks down at her daughter, then back at her board. In their faces, she sees the same calculating ambition that's driven her own life for so long, until a lost little girl and a humble rancher showed her what really matters. "Actually," she says, straightening to her full height, "we can, because this isn't a negotiation. It's a notification. Wells Enterprises will not be developing Morgan Ranch or any property in that valley, and if you try to force this through..." She smiles, all teeth. "I still own controlling interest in this company. I'm sure the press would love to hear about how Texas's biggest female CEO chose family farms over corporate greed." "You're throwing away years of work," Walsh sputters. "Your own mother built this company on development projects exactly like this." "No," Charlotte says softly. "I'm building something better, something my daughter can be proud of." She turns to Emma. "Ready to go home, sweetheart?" Emma beams, clutching Mr. Sparkles. "Can we show Mr. Jake my new drawings?" "We'll see." Charlotte gathers her papers, addressing the board one final time. "I expect those alternative proposals reviewed by Monday. And gentlemen, don't ever threaten what I love again." They leave the boardroom with heads high, Emma skipping beside her mother, unaware of the corporate earthquake they've just triggered. Charlotte's phone is already buzzing with messages, but for the first time in her career, she doesn't care. They have somewhere more important to be. The sun is setting when Charlotte's SUV turns onto the ranch's dirt road, painting the sky in fierce oranges and pinks. Emma presses her face against the window, practically vibrating with excitement as the familiar buildings come into view. "Look, Maria's still got her lights on," she exclaims, "and there's thunder in the corral." Charlotte's hands tighten on the steering wheel as she spots Jake on the porch, his figure silhouetted against the dying light. He stands as they approach, but doesn't move to greet them. "Mr. Jake!" Emma bursts from the car the moment it stops, running full tilt toward him with Mr. Sparkles bouncing behind her. "We came home!" Jake catches her automatically, his expression conflicted as he looks over her head at Charlotte. "Emma, honey, what are you doing here?" "Mommy fixed it. She told the mean people they can't have the ranch. And look," she proudly holds up a drawing. "I made thunder a picture." Charlotte approaches slowly, holding a thick envelope. "She's right. The development project is dead." "Why?" Jake's voice is rough. "You're bored. Can find somewhere else to build. I won't destroy this place." She meets his eyes. "I won't destroy us." "There isn't an us," Jake says, but his voice wavers. "You knew about this project all along." "I knew about a potential site, one of dozens we evaluate every month." Charlotte steps closer. "But I didn't know this place. I didn't know these people. I didn't know you." Emma looks between them, sensing the tension. "Mr. Jake, are you still mad at us?" Jake sets her down gently. "Why don't you go show Maria your drawing? I bet she's missed you." Once Emma's gone, Charlotte holds out the envelope. "The bank papers. I've paid off the mortgage." "I can't accept that." "You can, because it's not charity, it's investment. In the community, in the future." She takes a shaky breath. "In us, if you'll let me prove that what we found here is real." Jake stares at the envelope, his jaw working. "And what happens next time your company finds a profitable development opportunity?" "I've restructured the company's rural development division. We'll be focusing on restoration projects, working with communities instead of destroying them." She manages a small smile. "Turns out there's more profit in saving family farms than paving over them." From inside, they hear Emma's delighted squeal as Maria presumably welcomes her back. The sound seems to break something in Jake's defenses. "She cried herself to sleep every night," he admits quietly. "So did I." Charlotte steps closer, close enough to catch his scent. Hay and leather and honest work. "I thought I knew what success looked like. Corner office, merger deals, power suits, but watching Emma here, watching you with her," she gestures at the ranch spread out before them. "This is real success. Building something that matters, preserving something precious." Jake looks at her for a long moment. "And if I say no, if the hurt's too deep, then I'll respect that. But I'll also spend every day proving that what happened here, what's still happening here, is worth fighting for." She reaches for his hand, relief flooding her when he doesn't pull away. "I'm not asking you to trust me blindly. I'm asking for a chance to earn that trust back." The screen door creaks, and Emma peers out. "Maria says dinner's ready. She made my favorite tortillas." Jake looks at Emma's hopeful face, then back at Charlotte. Something shifts in his expression, like clouds. "Parting after a storm. Dinner sounds good," he says softly, and Charlotte feels tears prick her eyes at the simple acceptance in those words. Emma beams, running back inside to tell Maria. Through the window they can hear her excited chatter, the homey sounds of plates being set out, the simple music of family coming together. Still holding Charlotte's hand, Jake leads her toward the door. "We've got a lot to figure out," he warns. Charlotte squeezes his hand. "We've got time, and Emma's right. This is home." Together they step into the warm light of the kitchen, where Emma waits with Maria, where second chances are served with homemade tortillas, and where love, like the Texas sky, knows no bounds. Morning comes to Morgan Ranch with the sound of hope, Emma's laughter mixing with the familiar chorus of farm life. Charlotte stands at the kitchen window, coffee in hand, watching Jake teach their daughter how to properly feed the horses. There's still a careful distance in his movements when Charlotte's near, but with Emma, he's as natural as ever. "He'll come around," Maria says, joining her at the window. "Jake Morgan's got a big heart. Just needs time to trust it again." Charlotte nods, thinking of the stack of resignations sitting on her desk back in Dallas. Board members who couldn't accept her new vision for the company. Some things are worth the wait. Outside, Emma runs back toward the house, her face glowing. Mommy, Thunder remembered me, and Mr. Jake says I can help with the baby chicks. After breakfast, Jake adds, following her in. He meets Charlotte's eyes briefly, his expression softening just slightly. Got a busy day ahead. Old Tom arrives as they're finishing breakfast, his weathered face breaking into a rare smile at the sight of Emma. Well, look who's back. Horses have been mighty lonely without their best helper. Emma beams, then turns serious. Mommy says the ranch is safe now, that nobody can take it away. A loaded silence falls. Jake clears his throat. That's right, Princess. But we've still got lots of work to do. Ranch needs more than just saving, needs to thrive. I have some ideas about that, Charlotte ventures carefully. If you're willing to hear them. Jake studies her for a moment, then nods. Tonight, after Emma's in bed. It's a small opening, but Charlotte feels her heart lift. She spends the day relearning the rhythm of ranch life, letting Emma guide her through the tasks she's already mastered. The joy in her daughter's face, the peace in this place. It confirms every decision she's made. When evening comes, they sit on the porch, the space between them heavy with words unsaid. Charlotte spreads out her plans, ideas for sustainable farming, educational programs, partnerships with local schools. Not changing the ranch, she explains quickly, seeing Jake's expression. Enhancing what's already here, sharing it with others who could benefit from what we've found. We, Jake's voice is quiet. Yes, we. Charlotte meets his gaze steadily. I meant what I said yesterday. I want to be part of this, part of everything here. Jake looks out over his land, silver in the moonlight. It won't be easy. Two different worlds. That's just it. They don't have to be different worlds anymore. They can be our world, together. Emma's voice drifts through the screen door, saying goodnight to Mr. Sparkles. The simple sound seems to decide something in Jake. Okay, he says softly. Show me your ideas. And so, under the Texas stars, they begin to rebuild, not just trust, but a future neither of them had imagined before a lost little girl brought their worlds together. It's a leap of faith, but as Emma would say, sometimes the best adventures start with a single step. Autumn paints the ranch in new colors as change settles over Morganland. Charlotte stands in the renovated barn, now equipped with a small classroom space where local schools bring students to learn about sustainable farming. Emma proudly serves as the youngest tour guide, showing children where the baby chicks sleep. And this is where Mr. Jake taught me about horse brushes, she explains to a wide-eyed group of first graders. You have to be gentle, just like with Mr. Sparkles. Jake watches from the doorway, his face soft with pride. The past 2 months have brought subtle changes. New equipment that makes the work easier, updated irrigation systems that save precious water, and most importantly, the gradual warming between him and Charlotte. The Peterson kids are coming. Tomorrow, he tells her as the school group leaves. Want to learn about cattle raising? Charlotte nods, checking her tablet. Gone are the power suits and endless meetings. Now she runs her company remotely, splitting her time between business, innovation and ranch life. Her mother still doesn't understand, but the headlines tell a different story. Wells Enterprises pioneers Rural Education Initiative. Maria's planning a special lunch, she says every child should know where their food comes from. There. Hands brush as they walk back to the house, a touch that no longer holds tension. Emma runs ahead, Mr. Sparkles bouncing along behind her, his fur now speckled with honest ranch dirt. The old ranch house wears its updates well. Solar panels peek out discreetly behind historic beams, and the kitchen gleams with equipment that makes Maria's eyes sparkle. But the heart of the home remains unchanged, still beating with the rhythm of family and hard work. At dinner, Emma chatters about tomorrow's plans. Her worlds completely merge now. The sophistication of her city upbringing blending seamlessly with her love of ranch life. Under the table, Jake's hand finds Charlotte's, their fingers intertwining like their lives, stronger together than apart. The Peterson family gathers with others in Morgan Ranch's renovated barn, where Jake leads a workshop on sustainable ranching practices. Their success has become a beacon of hope for other local farmers struggling to maintain their way of life, while adapting to changing times. It's not about changing who we are, Jake explains, his confidence growing in this new role. It's about protecting what matters while learning to thrive in today's world. Charlotte watches from the back, her heart swelling as she sees Emma slip her small hand into Jake's. Their daughter now moves between both worlds with natural grace, equally comfortable in boardrooms and barn stalls. Your mama would be proud, old Tom tells her during a break. Not of the money or success, but of the family you've built here. The word family catches in Charlotte's throat. These past months have taught her its true meaning, in the way Maria fusses over Emma's meals, in how the ranch hands teach her daughter their skills, in the quiet moments when Jake holds them both under the vast Texas sky. Later, as the sun sets, neighborhood children run through the fields while their parents share a community dinner on the sprawling ranch lawn. The Morrison merger, once so crucial, has been replaced by partnerships with local farms, creating a network of sustainable agriculture that's becoming a model for other communities. Emma leads her friends in a game of hide-and-seek, Mr. Sparkles presiding from his perch on the porch railing. The teddy bear, like all of them, has found his place in this merged world, a bit worn, a bit changed, but better for the journey. Jake finds Charlotte by the old oak tree, where their story began with a lost little girl in a wheat field. His arms slip around her waist, natural now, as if they've done this forever. "Thank you," he murmurs against her hair. "For what?" "For showing me that sometimes the best traditions are the ones we build together." 1 year later, the wheat field where Jake found Emma blooms golden in the morning sun. A small gazebo now marks the spot, decorated today with wildflowers and ribbons. Mr. Sparkles sits in a place of honor, wearing a tiny bow tie for the occasion. Emma, in a flower girl dress that combines city elegance with country charm, scatters petals along a path worn by countless school tours and family walks. She pauses at the spot where her adventure began, looking back at the ranch house that's become so much more than a refuge. "Ready, princess?" Jake asks, his voice rough with emotion as he offers his arm to Charlotte. The wedding is small, witnessed by the community that's become family. Maria dabs at her eyes as old Tom leads Charlotte down the aisle. The Peterson kids sit with Emma in the front row, all of them giggling as Mr. Sparkles topples over during the vows. Charlotte's mother, who finally came around after seeing her granddaughter blossom in this new life, shares knowing looks with Maria as they both fuss over the reception details. The corporate world and ranch life have found their balance, just as the couple standing beneath the gazebo found theirs. "Remember when you thought I was just after your money?" Jake teases during their first dance. Charlotte laughs, pressing closer. "Remember when you thought I was going to pave over your ranch?" "Our ranch," he corrects softly, as Emma dances around. Then with Mr. Sparkles, above them the Texas sky stretches endless and blue, promising more adventures, more growth, more love. Sometimes, Charlotte reflects, you have to get lost to find your way home. And sometimes home is nothing like you imagined. It's better. As the sun sets on their perfect day, Emma falls asleep between them on the porch swing, Mr. Sparkles clutched close. She's no longer the lost little girl who wandered into a wheat field, just as they're no longer the people they were before fate brought them together. They've built something remarkable here. Not just a successful ranch or a transformed company, but a family that proves love knows no boundaries between worlds. And as the stars begin to twinkle overhead, Jake and Charlotte hold each other close, grateful for the twist of fate that turned a rescue into a forever home.